Hey everybody, it's Chuck. FSDBeta version 11.4.4. This is my second recorded drive. It's been doing pretty good. It feels about the same as 11.4.3, but I'm going to do a little bit of a different route, which is a little bit of a mashup of many of the things I do. Maybe a little bit more like a Memorial Park drive, but I'm going to try to mash up narrow roads, an unprotected left, a U-turn, some merges, and everything. So I'm going to have to fiddle around with the screen a little bit more, which may mean I'm going to screw it up. But hey, let's just go out and drive and talk about what we see. That's what this is all about. So here we are at Chuck's unprotected left turn, if that's what you want to call it. It is Sunday morning. Left turn needs to stop there for one car. It stopped just in time, and now it's wide open left and right. So it should just go. Let's see if it goes into the middle lane. And that time it went to the left lane. Interesting. Yesterday it went into the middle lane. So here with no traffic, and let me go ahead and edit my trip and go ahead and try to catch it in time to get a U-turn. That's what I'm hoping to do here. And it looks like we do have a U-turn in there, so let's see if it does it. Yeah, so it went to the middle lane yesterday on that unprotected left. So here we're going to do a simple U-turn, 3 lanes of traffic. The traffic coming around this corner can be pretty quick, and my previous experience is not very good on this. So now I'm getting into the lane, and let's see what it's doing here. That little creep back to the right, it's okay right now, but you see the way my steering wheel is pointed? All right, now it's wide open. And it's just staying here. I don't have anybody behind me. I'm just going to kind of see what its intent is here, and if the planner changes over here on the right to a reroute. Traffic is now coming in the front. You can see that it's not a safe time to go, but right now if it wanted to do a U-turn, it should be kind of creeping up and getting the angle right. If it's not going to do the U-turn, it should be rerouting through this turn here to the left and reroute around the neighborhood. So now that traffic's clear and it's obviously not moving, I'm pressing the accelerator. I'm just going to see what it does. I'm pressing it. I'm holding it down. I'm holding it down. Okay, and it lost its angle there. Unsuccessful U-turn on 3-lane cross traffic. So that is my typical experience on U-turns. If you force it, it tries to create a path, but if you noticed, it ran out of a radius of turn. It didn't feel like it was using its full radius of turn either. So I think that the planner kind of still wants to do it if you force it, and it did not reroute in the neighborhood, and it has rerouted at that exact intersection before, so there's a little bit of variability on trying a U-turn or having the planner reroute it. Still did not get the unable to complete maneuver, at least that I saw. If anyone saw that in post-production, let me know. You know, this is one of those functions that I think is important to solve, or at least know that you can't do, and always reroute if able. You know, you get at the end of a cul-de-sac and where it gets really, really wide. I've seen videos where it looks like the car can do that maneuver, but in that 180 degree kind of a hairpin U-turn into traffic where you really can't mess up and force yourself to have to reverse. And my disengagement there was specific because I did not want it to get so close to that curb that I couldn't continue the turn. So yeah, so the next part of this route is jumping on my unmarked narrow roads portion. And I did put out that video today for some dedicated unmarked narrow roads. It was, I'm just using the word better. It did not feel like it was worse. But the behavior to still use the middle of the road, even when oncoming cars are out there, feels a little uncomfortable. I don't know what the exact right answer is, but there definitely are some scenarios where the bias to the middle of the road is problematic. And that's especially with blind curves that you can't see what traffic is coming. You shouldn't be in the middle of the road. And over hills where you can't see if there's fast approaching traffic coming, you shouldn't be in the middle of the road. And if you can see oncoming traffic approaching you, you shouldn't be in the middle of the road because it is confusing to the other drivers. So this intersection is right now a flashing yellow. So it's going to go to the middle of the median, showing a stop bar there, which is why I'm not uncomfortable. And now it's in a good position after these two cars to go ahead and proceed on the flashing yellow. Over the railroad tracks, it's still going too fast. I've marked a few of those. It's just treating it. It needs to treat it like a speed bump. Okay, so on this portion, this is the same as yesterday. unmarked narrow roads. It doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot of traffic on this one, so it'll pretty much be a speed bump test. A little bit of creeping action here. Not a lot of traffic, so it's perfectly safe there. But here's our first speed bump, and it saw this one yesterday. Oh, it saw it really late and only got down to 24. But if you look at the rear camera view here, you can see I'm not in the middle of the road, but I'm definitely biased. And as I approach this stop sign, my point is I need to be over to the right, because if a car came around and had to go in front of me, I've left no room over here for them, and they would be forced to go into the grass. So that is the issue I'm trying to point out here, without any traffic, is just that you could be in the middle, but now I've got a truck oncoming, right? And there, it didn't stop for that either. So I can see the truck in the distance. My mind is saying, okay, get over to the right so I don't confuse him. The car is still biased in the middle. Now, granted, it can get over and still has time, and this interaction looks like it might even happen in the intersection where it is wider, and you can see the path it's projected. It's fine. Oh gosh, ooh, it went right towards the truck there. I'm gonna go ahead and disengage for that. Too close to the car on an unmarked narrow road. So I did that disengagement specifically to have the disengagement on record with the voice note. It started going towards the car before I had passed the car, and that was what that release note supposedly had addressed, and I was uncomfortable with that. Okay, here I recorded this yesterday also. This is an unprotected left turn into a middle turn lane, or otherwise sometimes called suicide lane. It's wide open to the left. There is no traffic coming from the right, so it should just go right into the lane of traffic. And yesterday it did the exact same thing. And now it's going back over into this turn lane, straight towards the median, and then it jumps back over. So I did the disengagement on that yesterday. I marked it today, and that's the behavior that is not right. Now, it's got itself in an awkward situation. It did that lane change. It stopped at the stop line, but my tail is weirdly in kind of a bad spot here. If I show you out the rear view, you might see that I was kind of crossing that line. Not bad, but it was just weird how it kind of got itself in a lane change just as it approached the intersection. So as I need to edit this trip again, get rid of that gate express, and that should take us down the route towards our highway merge. There may be portions of this next section that I speed up, but if not, we'll keep talking. And that is the correct. There is a supercharger up here in this part of town in Jacksonville, which is the newest one in Jacksonville. On this part of town anyway. I think there's a new one out on towards the beaches too. So already in just the first few minutes, I feel like I've shown you a few scenarios that I've made entire videos about. So maybe if this route kind of works out, it's a little bit of gymnastics with the waypoint methodology, but it does kind of bang a whole lot of these functions out all at once, and without getting a whole bunch of hit counts on it. So we should be taking a right turn here on the Wilson Boulevard. I have a green arrow that just turned yellow, so this is now into a right on red scenario. And it did the full stop. It did even say the warning, and now we've got the green light, so it's protected. It did show the creep limit there, like it was going to do the right on red. So nice job on that intersection. Okay, I've adjusted the map. It's going to go ahead and get into that left turn lane on the other side of this intersection and then proceed south. For those of you that remember this video where I did some, I think I called it highway merges, there is an interesting interaction between the stoplight, the sign, and the obscuration of that red arrow when it turns green. Now granted, the cameras I'm using, I have a GoPro that's at my height, which is lower than the camera up here. Now it's gonna accelerate, it needs to get in the left lane. It very aggressively turned there, great. And then I have a 360 camera that's mounted on the top of the car, which has a higher aspect than the Trinity camera here in the rear view mirror location. So here it's stopping. I'm just gonna take a look here. It's got a red light and it is identified as blue, and that is correct. Now see how it just lost its blue there for a second? There is a sign here that from my eye height, I can still see the red arrow. But when it turns green, like it just did, it's obscured. So now I'm tapping the accelerator to go, so I didn't miss that light. So that obscuration confuses it. Obviously, we could talk about road design, we could talk about all of that sort of thing, but as a human, I knew it was green because the red went away. The car, I don't know, did not understand that it had transitioned to a protected green arrow. And on those interchanges, and here's our merge, I don't want to lose the conversation about the merge. There are no cars here, no blinker, hugging the right lane. This is a true zipper merge, and I don't mind it going all the way to the end when there's a complete gap, but I don't think they have changed the behavior of that merge yet. And many others have said the same thing, that the merges are still about the same. A couple people have reported some blinker usage. It is quite a debate on what the proper way of doing it is. In high, dense traffic, while going to the end is legal, you can't accelerate to the end. You ought to be kind of going with the flow of traffic, looking for a gap to get over. Accelerating to the end kind of creates some road rage and also a dangerous scenario, because if you get to the end and you end up stopping very aggressively, you lose your ability of merging with the flow of traffic. And that's the entire purpose of a merge, is to be able to merge with the flow of traffic. So I'm going to go ahead and change up the route here again, and we'll do one more merge back, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, I don't know where it was going. It was not going the right direction there, so that is a very confusing disengagement. Improper planning. I didn't even know what to call that one. The planner had it. I had the route. It was not following a dotted line. I'm re-engaging at the stoplight here. I've driven this a handful of times and it's never done that before. I'm not exactly sure what to chalk that one up to. It was going kind of straight towards that wall, or acting like it wanted to go straight on that ramp, even though it already had it mapped to do this. So, all right, let's just talk about the merge, not that last one. So now I need to get over into this left lane on a merge. So this is the first merge, no blinker here. It's just gonna kind of squeeze in. That's fine. These usually work out pretty well. It's the merge on the highway here that creates the trouble without using a blinker. And this one's very short. There is no car, so it's just gonna show you what it does by biasing to the right and squeezing over in a true zipper merge with no traffic. So, two highway merges, not a whole lot demonstrated there, other than maybe the lack of use of blinker and the tendency of it to stay to the right lane. All right, just the yield is doing this appropriately. I like the way it's looking. It can go and it stays in the right lane, and now it's wide open. So that was a very conservative, good decision. No issues with that yield there. Got a pedestrian here that's jaywalking, and the car is stopping. Great interaction with the pedestrian jaywalking. That's exactly what it should have done, even giving them a room. It wasn't complicated. It was all happening very, very slowly, but that's the kind of behavior that FSD is capable of right now. It identified the car, the person, the car identified it, stopped, waited. The person wasn't going to jump in front of me, obviously. There was a little bit of eye contact going on there, but once the car stopped, identified blue and proceeded around it. So those pedestrian interactions are really, really good. That's probably going to be a highlight clip of this this film. All right, protected green arrow should be following this dotted line like it did, you know, was supposed to on that last intersection that I had a disengagement. So following the yellow line, the dotted white line is not the issue here. I'm still a little confused by that last disengagement. We'll have to look at that one in post. But my next turn here is going on to this narrow road section that has the center yellow line. On yesterday's video, this was rock solid, no problems. The narrow roads with the dividing line for me, I'm going to caveat that, has been fine. It's got a nice bias. I would even say it's biasing towards the center and away from the edge. Occasionally you'll hear my reflectors, the reflectors are being run over by the car because it's so close to the edge of the line here. The speed on this road is a little slow. It's 30 miles an hour, which is nice neighborhood speed, but it also creates a little bit of a scenario where most people that drive this road want to go about 40. So we have our first interaction coming up here, and you'll notice I'm on the side of no biasing, a little bit of a brake tap there. Might have been because of those palm fronds there on the edge of the road and that oncoming car squeezing it a little bit together. Just for a second, you saw the brake tap and you saw the deceleration on the trajectory. These sort of signs here are signs that are not recognized. Those speed limit signs that have the amber or the yellow don't seem to be taken into account. I'm not sure that I would want them going 20, but there are definitely some use of those yellow signs in the US that give very good safe speeds for the curves that are approaching. Here you can see we have another one. I need to edit the trip. School zone here, it's a Sunday morning and school is not in session, but these are the signs that will need to be recognized very soon. You can see in the US, usually there's a flashing yellow with some speed limit signs when flashing. Time-based, some of them have time-based. Here's the end school zone sign. You know, in Calgary last week when I was driving around with Kaushik and a few others, you know, I learned they call them playground zones. So there's different terminology, I guess, between different countries that all kind of have the same effect. And I even learned that in Calgary, they do it a little bit different than some of the other provinces in Canada. Nice smooth turn there, no issues. Coming up on a nice obstructed intersection I like to use. There's plenty of room to creep, but it is one of these that has a, see how I'm over to the middle and then I got to get over here to the right? So that little yellow line helps it. Without that yellow line, the car sends to get in the middle. I've got a fence over here to the right that's an obstruction. It's got to creep beyond. It can do it very safely with the distance it has, but just another good example of how the creeping can be used in scenarios where obstructions are not so bad, but it does create the scenario where the creep limit needs to be used. So we should be turning right here. And then over the railroad tracks. Yesterday, I had the situation that I think I'm probably going to see again today. Didn't need to stop there. Did have the limiting, but it's not recognizing the red light, or it thinks it's already stopped for the red light based on the railroad. So let's see what we have here. Approaching the railroad crossing. It's got a blue line all the way across it. Now it needs to roll across this railroad. Now see it. Now look, it stopped. Now that stopping point is right on the railroad tracks. So I'm tagging that again. Now, here it goes. Now it's going to do its right on red. So, do you guys think that's legal? It stopped in the wrong spot, and it took credit for the stopping at the railroad tracks. Now, granted, it has the visibility to see that it was clear. It's just like it's not stopping at the stop line to acknowledge that red in order to do the right on red. So I think a lot of us have seen that with stop signs where it's stopping 10, 20 feet back, and then it's just proceeding through the stop sign. You know, it doesn't count. The stop line is usually there for a visibility reason. Obviously, I'm just making hypotheticals here with that specific scenario. But I don't know. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below. Do you think that ran the red light, or do you think stopping on the railroad tracks you know, counted as the stop for the red light? Or what would the local police say about that? You know, was that a legal maneuver? I think the car is being safe enough to know that it was clear to go. I don't think it was running the red light without looking. Yeah, nice thought. So I'm coming up. I got one more very low traffic, and I am going to remind you it's 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning here in Florida. Low traffic today. This should be pretty easy, but we saw some functions that both worked and didn't work. I'm going to call this something like the Wilson Blvd route. I may repeat this just for the fact I've got everything in it, and I'm kind of got a route. Interesting scenario here. The truck is blocking my view. I still see the stop. Now it's waiting and proceeded just fine. So the unprotected forward facings are rock solid, you know, for me at that turn. Maybe it's a map turn. I don't know. That's it. That is the Wilson Blvd test drive. Maybe test loop will be what I call it. I think it did pretty good. Some confusing disengagements I'm not happy with, so I'm going to say not perfect. Obviously, using waypoints to create a scenario does throw a little bit of a curveball in there. And does the planner need more time to establish its route? I don't know, but the plan had the blue line, so theoretically, in my mind, that was enough time. But we could debate some of those timing issues if there is a latency in there for vision to kind of cage itself to the planner. I don't know. One really good pedestrian interaction, I thought. You know, I'm going to probably clip that one out and post that on Twitter for everybody to see. That's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a great day, everybody.